Hey everybody, hope you all had a Merry Christmas. I'm going to go ahead and do a video about my process in deciding to physically transition. So I'll go back to my childhood, I guess. I was, an athlete as long as I can remember. I played a lot of sports when I was growing up. I always hung out with the guys. I, would ride bikes with them and skateboard and play roller hockey and all of that kind of stuff. And I think that I was just generally accepted as one of the guys. I didn't really have a concept of gender identity or anything like that back then. I did have a couple of incidents when I was growing up in playing sports where, because I had short hair and things like that, and that I was generally good at the sports that I played, I did have issues with parents coming out onto the field and things like that and saying that I was a boy, and a lot of ruckus with the parents and stuff like that. But overall, my childhood was pretty good. I don't have any complaints about it. I do recall that when I was in 5th grade, I was hanging out with my friend Katie at the library, and we decided that we were going to share our deepest, darkest secrets. And I remember writing on a slip of paper that I wanted to have a sex change. I don't know where I came up with that. I don't know how I really knew about that. But when I was younger, when I would play Nerf basketball in my house, before we had wallpaper on the walls, I would write on the plaster, and I always made my name Mitch. I wanted to be like my cousin, my older cousin. So I think for as long as I can remember, I wanted to be a boy, but didn't really have any dysphoria with my body. Didn't really think that I was any different, I guess. And I think that being good at the sports that I played, especially basketball, in the community, I was accepted. I didn't have any problems. People always, talked about me and asked about me and were interested in how I was doing. And I didn't really get any flack about things or about my short hair and things like that. When I went to high school, there was a little bit of a separation, in going into high school between guys and girls, more so than grade school. And the friends that I had, the guy friends that I had in grade school, we didn't really talk anymore. So I started to become better friends with some of the girls and learned how to be a part of that community as well. I did in high school grow out my hair and tanned and went to the dances and had boyfriends and did all of that stuff. I dated, I think it said in one of my videos, my ex-boyfriend was a football player my sophomore year, and I didn't have any problems with that. He was really awesome and allowed me to be who I am, and we got along. We played basketball together, we joked around, we played around, we're cool. It was no big deal for me to not be the little woman or whatever. So I'm proud of myself in the respect that I didn't really try to be something that I wasn't. Even though I did grow out my hair and things like that, I wasn't pretending at any point. When I went to college, I tried a lot harder to fit in. I think being outside of my hometown and going away to college, I tried to fit in a lot more, and actually the first semester started to be something that I'm not. I used to let the other girls curl my hair and dress me in girly clothes, and went to the pimp and hoe party and all of that stuff. But by second semester, I decided to come out to a couple of my friends that I was gay, and started to dress like I would dress, and started to kind of reclaim myself, I guess. After freshman year, I met a girl in St. Louis who really opened my eyes to who I was. It was almost like she saw right through me and saw right through the blonde highlights and the tan and all of that stuff. And she, of course, gave me Stonebridge Blues to read, and was like, why don't you wear some boxer briefs, and here's my tie from work, and why don't we get dressed up and go out to eat, and why don't you maybe cut your hair, and things like that. And they're all things that I was dying to do, and she really allowed me to be who I was. So from that point forward, I started to really get in touch with who I am, and moved to upstate New York and was in a liberal place where I met other trans people and started to identify as trans. After I left there and kind of moved around and things like that, I just kind of stuck to the lesbian community because it afforded me the ability to be myself and date women, but also be as butch as I wanted to be, I guess. So I kind of, in some ways, hid in that identity for quite a while, and I think that I was hoping that that would be okay and that I would be fine and I wouldn't have to ever change anything. I then started, at some point, I guess I was 23, so I'm 28 now, but I was 23 at that time, and I started dating a straight woman who had never been with a woman before, and I felt personally like she loved me but really wasn't that into me being a girl. I think that she saw the more masculine side of me and loved me, but I had a real problem with myself in the fact that I felt like I couldn't be what she really wanted me to be, and in a lot of ways really I wasn't being who I really wanted to be. So that weighed on me heavily. I started reading a lot of books about transgendered people and really started to identify with them and felt like maybe I needed to make some changes. So